On my wedding day, my husband danced with another woman. Not once, not briefly, the whole night. And the worst part, nobody said anything. They clapped, they cheered, and I stood there in my own wedding gown, feeling like a guest at my own marriage. My name is Zainab, and this is my
In
story.
the city of Abeni, people said marriage was a crown. Once it sat on your head, you were expected to smile through the weight of it. Zainab wore hers quietly. If you asked anyone who knew her, they would tell you she was gentle. The kind of woman who spoke softly, even when she was hurt. The kind who believed that patience could fix anything if you held it long enough. She married Tunde on a bright afternoon filled with drums, laughter, and promises that echoed louder than they lasted. From the outside, it was a good match. He was confident, admired, always surrounded by people. She was calm, steady, the type men called wife material. What no one questioned, because no one ever does, was the woman who stood closest to him that day. Morayo. She wasn't hidden at the back. She wasn't whispered about. She was right there, laughing freely, fixing Tunde's collar, moving like someone who belonged. When the music changed and couples flooded the dance floor, Tunde reached for Morayo's hand first. Zainab watched them dance. Not once, not briefly, but fully. Bodies relaxed, laughter easy, eyes locked in a way that did not ask permission. Guests clapped, phones recorded. Someone shouted, "Best friend forever!" Zainab smiled because everyone was watching. That night, lying beside her husband, she told herself the words that would follow her for years. "It's nothing. I don't like trouble." But somewhere deep inside her, a quiet question formed, small, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. If this was love, why did it already feel like she was intruding? After the wedding, life settled into a routine that did not include peace. Morayo came often. Too often. She showed up without warning, sat comfortably on their couch, opened their fridge like it was hers. Tunde never questioned it. He welcomed her with the same warmth he rarely showed his wife. Zainab noticed things. She always noticed things. She just didn't speak. When Tunde bought Morayo a new phone, sleek, expensive, still smelling of the shop, Zainab helped admire it. "Isn't it beautiful?" Morayo asked. Tunde smiled. "She deserves it." Weeks later, he returned home with a gift for Zainab, a blender. "So you don't stress yourself in the kitchen," he said casually. She thanked him. She always did. At gatherings, Morayo cracked jokes that brushed too close to disrespect. Tunde laughed. When Zainab stiffened, he called her sensitive. Slowly, Zainab learned the unspoken rules of her marriage. Don't complain. Don't compete. Don't make things awkward. Her friends noticed the way she shrank when Morayo entered a room. "You don't have to swallow everything," one of them warned. Zainab smiled and changed the topic. But late at night, alone with her thoughts, she wondered something she was afraid to say aloud. Was patience still a virtue? Or had it quietly become permission? One evening, Tunde suggested a quiet dinner at home. Zainab, hoping for something ordinary, a night where she might feel like the wife she had dreamed of being, agreed. But ordinary never arrived. Morayo appeared first. She stepped into their apartment like it belonged to her, tossing her bag onto the sofa, humming a song Zainab didn't recognize but somehow hated instantly. Tunde laughed at her, kissed her hand, and sat beside her with an ease Zainab could not touch. They reminisced, childhood stories, inside jokes, names and moments Zainab had never known. Every laugh was a pin in her chest, every glance a reminder she was the invisible guest in her own home. Then came the comment about the food. Morayo's voice was polite, but there was a blade beneath the tone. "Oh, so this is how you cook?" Tunde's laugh followed, as though he shared the joke. Zainab's fork paused mid-air. Her chest tightened. Something inside her cracked. She spoke, not shouting, not angry, but honest. I feel like I don't exist here. Like I'm not even part of this conversation. Tunde's face hardened. You're jealous. That's your problem. That night she cried alone in the bedroom, and for the first time she questioned everything. Her patience, her quiet endurance. Had it been courage or foolishness? Days passed, but the tension didn't. Tunde stopped asking about her day. Morayo appeared at odd hours, laughing too loudly in hallways, humming too casually in their kitchen. Zainab's phone began to betray her. Messages from Tunde went unanswered. Calls cut short. Sometimes she caught Morayo on the other line, politely ending conversations before Zainab could speak. The realization hit her slowly, like cold rain seeping into your bones. Morayo had influence, power, control. And Tunde wasn't the man she married. Or, if he was, he had chosen her too little, too late. Zainab felt cornered. Every decision became a minefield. Speak and risk Tunde's anger. Wait and risk becoming completely invisible. Act, and she might break something beyond repair. By nightfall, she had made her choice. She would confront them, both of them, together. Not in the apartment, not with witnesses. A secluded spot, a lake reserve where she could make them see her. She didn't yet understand the danger of that choice, or how it would set everything into motion. The thought lingered as she stared out her window, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. Will I finally be heard? Or will I be drowned in the consequences? The lake looked peaceful when Zainab arrived. A still, quiet place where she thought words would carry weight and truth would be undeniable. She had rehearsed this confrontation for hours. But peace is a dangerous illusion. Morayo was already there, leaning against a tree with that same calm confidence that had haunted Zainab for months. Her smile was polite but sharp, a knife hidden in silk. Tunde told me you wanted to talk, she said, tilting her head as if Zainab were the intruder. Tunde arrived moments later, unaware of the tension thickening like fog. He smiled at Zainab, clueless of the storm she carried. Zainab's voice trembled at first, then hardened. I've tried patience. I've tried silence. But you've made me feel invisible in my own life, and I can't do it anymore. Morayo laughed softly. Invisible? Oh, Zainab, you misunderstand everything.
The conversation escalated. Words became accusations. Accusations became shoves. In the heat of anger, a misstep, a push too hard, sent both women plunging into the cold, unforgiving water. Panic replaced anger instantly. Zainab's lungs burned. Her arms flailed. She felt the life inside her twist, a surge of fear that froze her blood. Morayo struggled beside her, gasping and splashing, eyes wide with the same terror. Tunde finally reached them, shocked, yelling, but Zainab could barely hear him over the roar in her own head. The lake, once calm, had become a mirror for chaos. And when they finally clawed themselves to the shore, Zainab realized something terrifying. This confrontation had changed everything, and not necessarily in her favor. Back at her apartment, Zainab wrapped herself in a towel, shivering, heart pounding. The adrenaline had faded, leaving only the ache of consequences. Morayo left soon after, smiling faintly, as if the whole scene had been a test and she had won. Tunde's apologies tumbled over themselves, words clumsy, desperate. I didn't know. It got out of hand. Zainab didn't respond. She stared at him, measuring every inch of truth and lies. Her anger boiled with every memory of months of neglect, every gift she had swallowed silently, every laugh she had tolerated. But the worst part was the new fear she could not ignore. She realized she had invited disaster upon herself. Her wrong decision, confronting them together at the lake, had put her life, her body, and her unborn child at risk. The lake had become a symbol. She had acted out of desperation, but desperation has consequences that ripple far beyond the moment. Questions gnawed at her. Could she ever trust Tunde again? Could she forgive herself for risking everything? And the child, what would be the cost of this reckless act? For the first time, Zainab felt the weight of a truth she had ignored too long. Patience had limits, silence had consequences, and actions, even justified ones, carried their own dangers. That night, alone, she cried. Not just for the fear, but for the reality that her life had shifted irreversibly. Outside, the city buzzed, indifferent, and Zainab realized with a hollow ache that her next choices would determine whether she survived the storm she had unleashed or drowned in it. The story's tension is now fully elevated. Her confrontation has consequences, both emotional and physical, and her next choices will define her path.
The weeks that followed felt distant and strangely quiet. Zainab moved through her days slowly, as though part of her mind was still standing beside the lake. The memories stayed with her, lingering in a way she couldn't easily push aside. Her body felt tired, but the deeper weight rested in her thoughts. In a single reckless moment, she had placed too much on the line: her safety, her pride, and the hopeful future she had been quietly imagining. At the clinic, the doctor spoke gently, choosing careful words. The message was simple, even if it was hard to accept. The plans she had been holding on to would not unfold the way she had once pictured them. For a long moment, Zainab remained silent. She stared ahead, listening to the steady rhythm of her breathing and noticing how empty the room suddenly felt. The future she had been quietly dreaming about, those soft images she had carried in private moments, had faded away. Tunde stayed close by, regret clear on his face. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I didn't understand before. But Zainab felt strangely calm inside. Not anger, not relief, just a stillness that settled deep in her chest. Friends came by to check on her, offering kindness she struggled to absorb. Her mother sat beside her for hours, gently holding her hand. You deserved something brighter, her mother said softly. Yet somehow that brighter future had slipped away during a moment when everything felt uncertain. Later that night, alone in the quiet of her apartment, Zainab faced a difficult realization. Acting from pain had not solved anything. Instead, it had shaken parts of her world she once believed were steady. And yet, somewhere beneath the silence, something small remained. A quiet reminder that she was still there, still capable of moving forward. The experience left her standing at a turning point. She could allow the weight of the moment to define her. Or she could slowly find a way to grow from it, becoming wiser and stronger with time. But in that moment, Zainab wasn't sure she was ready to take that first step just yet.
Days later, she found herself facing Tunde alone. Not at the lake. A cafe by the edge of the city. Somewhere neutral, where she could speak without risking another disaster. Tunde arrived, calm but tense, like a man bracing for judgment. His usual charm faltered, leaving only a raw vulnerability Zainab had never expected to see. I know you're angry, he began. I know I've failed you. Failed me? Zainab interrupted, her voice steady. You didn't just fail me. You erased me, month after month. Every gift, every joke, every laugh. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a declaration that I didn't matter. Tunde's eyes dropped. For the first time, no excuses, just the weight of truth. And now? He asked quietly. And now, Zainab said, I choose me. She walked away, each step echoing a promise to herself. Months passed. Abeni continued its ceaseless hum. Zainab moved with a quiet determination that had not been there before. At work, She spoke up, proposed ideas, demanded credit. Her colleagues, who had once brushed past her, now looked at her with respect. Her mother visited often. "You finally stopped disappearing," she said one evening. Zainab smiled, feeling the truth in it. The loss of her child lingered in quiet moments, a hollow ache that reminded her of the cost of patience, silence, and misplaced trust. She carried it without bitterness, but she carried it deeply. She began volunteering at a women's mentorship group, speaking to young women about boundaries, self-worth, and the dangers of silence. She shared stories, not as a victim, but as a survivor who had learned the harsh truth. Patience has limits, and ignoring pain often makes it a permanent resident. She discovered joy in small things again, her morning coffee, her favorite books, her laughter, measured but real. And in the quiet moments, she reflected on the lessons etched into her heart. Do not let anyone determine your value. Do not shrink to avoid conflict. Do not wait for recognition that will never come. Claim it yourself. Zainab had lost much, but she had gained something far greater, herself. The city continued to hum, unaware. But Zainab no longer needed the world to see her. She had already learned the most important truth. To survive and to truly live, you must never let yourself vanish again.
If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a story. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done in Zainab's place? And if you're ready for another story, the next one is right there on your screen. I'll see you there.